February the 19th, Sunday. There's the stake holding their wire. Here it is across the same private driveway. It runs on down that side. Well, I might as well just walk on down this side. It's all through here. You can kind of see it moving every time I step on it because it's not pinned down. You see there's no real markings that it's even here, and it's real easy to grab a hold of with your foot and trip over, which there's been an elderly gentleman, senior citizen, that did trip over it. And I'm sure, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure he broke a rib and bruised both his elbows and who knows what else, but he can't afford to go to the hospital. But where he tripped over it is up here, where it goes across the third private driveway. And look at this. This is one of their stakes. That's metal. You know, so if he was to fall and hit his head or his temple on that, he'd die. But there it is up off the ground, and that's where he tripped. And then they have a hole right here that was created by them, that all they did was stick a wooden stake in it. They didn't bother to fill the hole. But that wire runs all the way down to Kenny Harmon. And I just drove past it. It still crosses the public sidewalk. And I'm getting a little tired today, so I don't want to drive all the way down there. But you can see there, I got no choice but to walk down there because I need to point out a couple other things. So, at least the trail's getting me some exercise. But this is a site where all these spots are from the hydraulic fluids and oils that the semis dripped while they were parked here. This is bentonite and whatever fluids that had been in the trucks while they were waiting to go down there and pump it out of the HDD pits. This is where it ran off through the storm inlet onto the ground here, and it puddled up down there, and that's dried up bentonite that once it gets wet again, it will be slick once again. Same as all of this out here. When this gets wet again, it will be slick again. And these are the oil stains I'm talking about, and it's scattered throughout here because they would have them stacked, you know, 4 to 7 or 1 to 7 semis long. This whole strip would be lined up with semis. And all this dirt along the side of the road is the stuff that fell off their trucks or dripped out of their trucks while they sat here. And all these stains are from those trucks. This was an intersection improvement project that was just recently completed, probably within the last 9 to 12 months. That was per the MOT guy that came out and met with me. So they just finished up this road, and now they've contaminated the shit out of it. And while they were parking here, it blocked the view of all these signs, as well as they had a sign right next there, right next to that speeding fines double when workers are present. But this is one of their prepare to stop signs. You know, be prepared to stop. And the semis were parked in that lane that is a white slanted line, which I would indicate no parking. The little lane is a bicycle lane, so they had that blocked up, and they were blocking the view of this so people wouldn't be prepared to stop down there. This wire at this point, I think, yeah, it's still over here. It's right here. Right? Sorry, I'm not wanting to bend over, but there it is. You know, extreme trip hazard. There's another one out here in the middle of this medium, which I'm going to go ahead and walk out there and verify that it is still here after 5 weeks of them doing what they're doing. So let me see if I can find it out here, because I know it's right down there. So I'm going to assume, well, I don't see it. So that means when I walk back, no, it's just been yanked up. Because, no, here it is. It's right here. There's the pin. Let me get out of the view. There's the pin. Here's the wire. And it runs right on down. And about the time it gets off that medium, the concrete in the middle, it goes down through the road and then crosses the road. And it's been snapped in half because people are running over it. And here it is. Here's the end of it. I can't see. Yeah, there's the end of it. There's my finger. There's the end. So undoubtedly this ran on down this side of the road, and something hit it, something caught it and cut it and yanked a big chunk out, because it's not here, but I'll guarantee you I keep on going down here, which they may have changed side of road. I don't see it over there, but what I'm looking for is those little orange marks where they marked the pins but didn't mark any of the wire. Because it being cut right there means it wouldn't work to triangulate anything on a locate. So either they picked up some of it but didn't pick up the rest, or a car or a lawnmower has a whole bunch of it wrapped around something. And they were very lucky that it just wrapped up in it and didn't go flying through the air. Because I don't see it over here. Let me walk back over to this side. And I don't see it out in the middle. I don't see it along this side. But somehow or another, it had to come down through here, because it just dead ending doesn't work for a triangulation situation on a that locate wire is for locating the drill head. So somehow or another, a piece of it is missing. But I'm gonna walk back over to where I know it's in place. Let me get on across here because traffic's coming. But here's one of the stakes that it used to be pinned to. And either somebody's come up here. No, see, this stuff was mowed. Yeah, here it is. It's all balled up. So whoever mowed this grass, they balled all this stuff up here and they just threw it over here out where people could trip over it. So I'm gonna move it back to at least a little safer spot, and I'm probably just opened up a liability issue. But the mowers don't want it because they don't want it tangled up in all their stuff. So I'm gonna stuff it back behind this pole so it's out of the mowers, you know. And they ran it up on this fence because it was running right through here. But they threw it up on the fence, the mower guys, I'm sure. And yeah, I'm assuming some stuff, but it makes sense that the mower guys would do this. And then it goes back to one of their stakes, and it runs back here behind Comcast. You know, that's some kind of communication building. And these locate flags say cable TV on them. They're not here for this wire. They didn't do any locating of the wire. And just to show that the wire is still here, it's right here. There's a pin that has it pinned to the ground right there. But you get on down here, this drops off into a wetland area. This is all wetland behind me. But there's another one. Whoa. Whew, yeah, walking on these banks is fun. But here's another one of their stakes, and there's the wire. And it runs on out here behind this tree. And now it's all up off the ground by a couple inches. It's up off the ground right through here, about 6 inches. And it runs on up through those trees. And I have a video crossing my friend's property. Because that's a good friend of mine's property. He used to own a gas station, service station, not a service station, just a gas station, little store. Hey, let me walk back over here. This is another little retention type area, so it can retain water and keep it from going out in the wetlands. There's another one of their stakes, but at this point, it's a good foot up off the ground. And a homeless person, anybody that walked back here could end up tripping over it, or a lawnmower could grab it. And this was all just recently, it looks like it was probably bush hogged, and it didn't do a great job, but they come through here and mowed it. That could have been wrapped up in it. And I don't know how much of this you can see, but there's the stake on the other side of his barbed wire fence, and it runs all the way over, almost to where you see those cars, and takes a hard right, or heading west, and that's where it crosses the sidewalk down there. And it should have never been left on the ground this long. It's not even in use anymore, and the proof to that is how many places it's cut. And I have a feeling all these stakes are markers that were used for the bore, showing the right of way and stuff. But this steel one is very dangerous. Anybody could fall. It's it's very jagged on the end. I mean, very jagged. And it would cut you. Here's another location where it's very obvious. It crosses a stormwater outlet right off the edge of the road, and it continues down the edge of the curb. A lot of walking, but it's good for my stomach. And kind of good for the soul. But here's where it's crossing another private driveway that goes back, and it's his access to his property. That's how the trash men get back there to dump that dumpster, which kind of needs to be dumped. But I'm gonna walk on down here to the corner because it's still going along the edge of that curb. Hopefully that's picking it up. I'd stay bent over, but I can't walk very well that way. But it's pretty obvious, it's still there. You can see it, especially up on the curb. And I'm trying to keep it on it, but I gotta kind of watch where I'm walking too. But to prove that that's a bicycle lane, there's the symbol. And it comes down here, and I'm pretty sure there's probably a pin. Yep, right there, you can see the orange paint. And it goes right across this road, or across this sidewalk. And then it's up off the ground here, probably 4 to 6 inches. Over there, 6 to 8 inches, probably maybe even 10 inches, and it goes out into his property. And it's pinned back there and then runs back across where I just came from. And I'm pretty sure these wood stakes are part of what they were locating, probably this buried telephone cable. Yeah, it's a Verizon cable. And they probably dug a hole to locate and verify the depth of it. It's standard practice. We called it spot holding. Some people call it pot holding. You got to verify how deep it is so that you know how deep you need to be to get beyond it. This is a down sign. I don't think it pertained to their signs because all their temporary signs are totally different than this metal one. But I don't know what happened to the wire that comes from the other side center median over to this side center median. They had to have had it connected at one time to get their triangulation right. Because this wire along the curb goes down here, and then I need to look on the way back to see, because it's got to cross this sidewalk again, but this sidewalk ends down here. But something I'm going to point out on the way, you can see the placement of that. It probably says road work ahead instead of pipeline construction ahead. But you can already see the hazard of those legs sticking out on the sidewalk. And they would say, well, you know, it doesn't fit in that little grass area. It's called get a different flag or a different sign holder. They have sign holders that you just stick down in the ground, and it doesn't have the big spread legs. They're not as stable, but they work. Believe me, I have some of them for these very unique situations in order not to create a trip hazard on a public sidewalk. And this should be folded over the opposite way so you can't read any of it because they're not working. It's a requirement. Here's where somebody has caught it going across this private site or private driveway, because this was not like this the other day. And it got slung all up here where it's a real trip hazard. So something happened here that caused it to get all balled up like that. So it got cut there. This was wrapped up with it. There was wire here just the other day that I videoed. But see, the problem with the dirt, sorry to jump around, but the problem with this dirt on the curb, like you see right there, when the rains come or they bring in their water truck to wash off the truck, it washes all this dirt down into these storm inlets. And over time, the storm inlets fill up with dirt. And then they can't handle the capacity of water they were designed and built to handle. That creates floods. And at some time, this wire crossed this private driveway. And I'm not sure where it crosses it at, but it had to have crossed it somewhere. huh. I mean, they could have gone around it and measured and done, and they could still figure out their triangulation as long as the wire's in one piece. But I don't see any signs of it. And sorry for the view that you're getting, but I'm just walking looking, because I know not very far down there, oh, I see a big pile of it down there. So undoubtedly a section got ripped out again. So there's undoubtedly some cars or lawnmowers running around with a big wad of cable on it, or wire on it. And it's a pretty heavy gauge copper wire, which is why I keep saying it could cut you literally right in half. Because a car doing 65 miles an hour, what would that wire whip be doing when it whipped up and cut through you? I can't answer that. But it would be, trust me, it's enough to cut you in half. Hopefully this picks this up. But this is where it's all wound up here. And so this did go on down this side. You know, and you can, hopefully you can see it. You know, and I'm just stringing it out. Hopefully this doesn't get me liable for it. But I'm gonna try to fling it over closer to this fence line, because I'm not picking it up. I guess you know, it's their wire. And yeah, I'm aware of it, and I've done everything I can to let people know. But this is still a private drive. There's the man's gate. It's a private gate, and that wire runs past it. Now this is proper to have it folded down, but you got one leg going out really close to the bicycle lane, as well as another foot on it, support system of it, in the sidewalk, plus the sign is actually out in the sidewalk. That's a no-no. And I'm sorry that they've got themselves in this predicament, but it is a public health and safety problem, as well as a traffic hazard. And it really kills me to walk past all these little dots, because this all happened over a 5-week situation. And you know, it looks like small little dots, but there's a lot of them. There's probably a couple thousand little dots down through here that are all oils, hydraulic fluids, brake fluids, who knows what they are. But as the rain runs across them, and that's signs of bentonite that dripped out, as well as all of this, but all this oil, as rain runs across it, it rolls it over to this curb, and it takes it down through this stormwater inlet and lands down there in the stormwater ditches. These houses back here are on private wells. That water permeates in the ground and can become drinking water, contaminated with whatever this is out here. You know, and I'm passing 6110 US 1792 State Road 600. But there's the hole with the stake. There's the wire that the gentleman tripped over. There's the metal pipe they drove in the ground to hold their stake. So undoubtedly they're using anything they run across. They don't buy their own stakes. They just pick up whatever and drive it in the ground and don't care that it's a real hazard if somebody trips and falls over it. And I'm just pointing things out because there's more little drips down through here. There's not as many, but it's all from those trucks. This sign definitely is a sign that it doesn't have to do with them. And the reason I say definite is because of that grass that has grown up through the little hole in the sign. So it's a sign that's been here for quite a while, more than 5 weeks. But more of the leakage, more of the staining. You know, I don't know what was leaking there. I just know there were multiple trucks parked here, and these are probably where they rolled through, because those look like tire tracks, and this is how the contaminants, another way they get transferred down the road. Well, I think I'm gonna get back in the truck. Oh, let me do this, just to prove that there is a wire out here, because I couldn't find it back there, you know, further down there. But it was here, because it's still here along this curb, you know, all the way down into that grass area where we found the end of it. But I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you put a safety vest on before you get out in traffic. You know, but you can see the wire. And let me get on the other side so my shadow's not blocking it. Now I can't see. But anyway, hopefully I'm capturing that. And I'm sorry, I have a hard time walking that way, but it's there. And I'm trying to, yeah, good, no traffic. But things to look for is these little orange marks on the road, because they may have a wire to them, they may not. But that's a nail. So that's something that could puncture your tire. And when you have a blowout, we all know that you can lose control of your car. This is more of the contaminants from their tires, where their semis have come through here and twisted and turned and carried contaminants all out through here. You know, that's what these black dots are, is contaminants from truck tires. And believe me, the semis have been turning here. You know, I can't prove this is caused by them, but it's what falls off trucks for the most part. And this wire continues on. Here's another big orange dot with a nail in it that could take out your tire. And it's just a shame that FDOT knows about it and kind of approves it, because these orange marks is pretty much says they approve of this practice. And I guess it would be part of the best management practices of horizontal directional drilling. And this is a different color wire, so it's proof that during the time they were using it, it got run over and they had to splice a small piece in, because it goes from kind of a tannish color to a black, and you can see the tape. Let me try to get myself, see? And they spliced it back together. But once they get bored out, they don't use it anymore. Ah, good, they took down the wall. So let me slide over because I hear a car coming. Actually, a couple cars. Yeah, the wall, their sound barrier wall, they have taken down. And yeah, I'm walking down the middle of the road because I wanted to show the end of this. There's the end. Now I can get over and out of the road, because I'm pretty sure that wire is probably still here. Well, maybe not. They may have picked a section of it up, because it ran from over there in the road to a pin that was pinned right here at this orange mark. And then it ran back to their boring rig. This is where they covered up all the sinkholes. And they have not done this hay roll stuff out here, other than right here where they covered up the sinkholes. And I don't know who dug this out, but this wasn't here just the other day, nor was this. I can't really tell what did it, but they left holes out here, as well as a pile of dirt, which is all a trip hazard. I see they've come up, this is mostly what they do, they throw seed. This is hay, and that's all. I don't see any seed in the hay. Usually you put the seed down and then you put the hay on top of it. But what they did is they put this hay down and then put some seed over here. A little ass backwards. But there's the two green machines that are going to be doing all the haying, which they look like they're beyond their work zone there, but they pushed that big pile of dirt down and they filled in the two little depressions over there. You see, now I can walk right up to this. You know, pretty improper safety fencing, or insufficient safety fencing. But this is the pit. And that pit went all the way over there. I mean, all the way. They had it dug out. And I got video of some of it. But that's some real nice looking water there. And that's the end of the bore pipe they pulled back. This is a bunch of boards. This is all outside of their work zone. Their work zone, which they've taken the stakes down that were here the other day. But their work zone is basically right in this general area. Maybe a foot or so beyond the silk fencing that was haphazardly put up, but it is still standing. But that's some nasty, let me walk on over there and get a better view of that and stay out of their work zone, which, because they've taken their work zones down, I don't believe it's a work zone. But this is a breach in the silk fencing because it's caved off, and that's not stopping anything from falling in that hole. And isn't that some real pretty water? And they've covered up all the pit. This was all dug out, and those steel pilings were probably in it. We couldn't get view of this because that's the material that was the sound barrier wall, which really wasn't a sound barrier at all. It was purely so that we couldn't see what was back here. And it's scary as shit for the stuff and sorry for the French, but it's scary to when I finally could get over there to the other side and videotape what they were doing. Those are 2 trash dumpsters that they were using as some type of containment, and they just dumped them out on the ground and pushed them in the hole that was right here, and they sucked it out, bailed it out with the track hoe, and hauled it off to Rockford Access 15 and dumped it on the ground, breaching the silk fencing. This water is horrifying. The whole site is a horrifying sight. But I'm gonna walk on back down through here because I see some like curtains, because there is a creek that somehow or another comes up out of the ground and runs through here. And it runs underneath all of this. What a great place to set up horizontal directional drilling on top of a creek. Oh yeah, it doesn't pop up out of the ground. It's literally above ground. But right here, there's not water in it. Well, I wonder why. They've been pumping everything. But that's I believe that's what they call a curtain. I don't think it's a proper curtain because it doesn't reach the water, but it's supposed to keep their stuff from falling in the water. But this was all their sound barrier wall, which now that it's down, it doesn't look very sound barrier at all. It looks like just some film across it. That was all the stakes that held it up. That was all the yellow things back there were weights that held it. That's more of it. And this is all contaminated soils that either come from the directional drilling. I'm unsure where they came from because they weren't here the other day. But I can only imagine this is soil that was trucked in and dumped, because that looks like dump loads now that I look at it. But all of that, you can see the hole right there where that dirt can fall down into this creek, and until they move this, you'll never be able to see it. But there's very little water here. You see a little droplet of it there. And sorry, I got to go back and take some pictures. I forget. But like I say, it's pretty easy to just back up and get a picture of that porta-john. Find out whether it's legal or not. And isn't that a nice little plank board covered in bentonite and whatevers. And these are the steel pilings covered with all kinds of whatever. But yeah, this is a creek that runs out, and it runs out the other side, and it actually becomes water on the other side. These are contaminated sandbags because they were utilized as stormwater prevention. This is actually a breach right here underneath this because none of it touches the ground. And the reason none of it's touching the ground. There's another breach right there. And this is all put up to keep anything from getting in this creek. So there is water in this creek. It's just covered up with a lot of pine needles and whatnot. Hopefully they didn't get none of their stuff in it, but with the way I've seen the way they operate, I would put money on it they got some stuff in it. And the reason I call it stuff, because there ain't no telling. There's thousands of additives that are utilized to stabilize the hole, and all these great fancy words that they have to use to get their work done. And many of them are carcinogen. I guarantee you none of them are healthy for us. It saddens me to see the look of that water. You know, actually there is a couple spots that look very chemical related. I'm not saying fuel, but those little shiny little ring things there, kind of in the middle of the screen, looks chemical. The brown foam, that's almost natural, but that wooden stake shouldn't be in there. They have built a little bridge over it so they can get back and forth or whatever. But, you know, they need to come out here and take some samples of this water. And they need to sample the ground underneath it, because they will be digging all this out within the next couple days. Let me get a picture of this. I'm trying to remember to take pictures. And you know, I'm just saying those things because we all need to be taking pictures and documenting what we see. And if it doesn't look right, doesn't look pretty, doesn't look good, document it. It's just a picture. But all of this contaminant up here, these tires, they're hazardous waste. It's all out on road right away. I mean, I know they got their safety fencing around it, but this safety fencing is not properly staked up. I mean, come on. But here's some of their temporary containments that have just been left here to leach off into that water. And I'm really looking, it's hard to even look at that water. Lord help us, because we got to drink this. And that pump over there, it's containment now. Now look at this. They think Visqueen is going to work under those tracks. Now those things are so heavy that when they run them across asphalt, it will break the asphalt. But they can lay Visqueen out on them, drive it up on the Visqueen, and think it didn't poke holes in it? Are you freaking kidding me? And if you notice the back one, their containment is all folded down. So what is it containing? But what that tells you is they know those machines have the potential to leak. That's why they spent the money on the Visqueen. It's called temporary containment. But if I could be here when they unwrap that, I guarantee you there's all holes in the bottom of them where those tracks pulled up on them. I mean, those machines are 50,000 pounds or better. There's going to be holes in them. And I have plenty of documentation of the plastic containments used on their pumps. And when they picked it up out of the wetland, it poured the stuff out. This dirt has been here since the beginning along this road. And it is still here. And all they do is keep washing the road off, washing it right into the stormwater inlet down here. Now, there's the pump hose, or the suction hose. And those brown spots, well, let me stay on this pump. That containment center is folded down. It's very obvious. It's all folded down.